Thank you for joining us for the Advancing Oceanside Podcast, brought to you by the Oceanside Chamber of Commerce. The Advancing Oceanside Podcast hosts business and community leaders from all industries to help inform, better educate, and ultimately advocate for a prosperous economic climate here in Oceanside. Joining us today on the Advancing Oceanside Podcast is Tonya Danielly, Executive Director for the Ivey Ranch Park Association. Ivey Ranch Park Association was established in 1981 and is a private, nonprofit, community-based corporation that provides services targeted to both disabled and able-bodied children and young adults located throughout San Diego County. During the interview, Tonya will take you through Ivey Ranch Park's history and how over the past 40 years, the organization has evolved from just a dirt mound to 12 acres of beautifully kept grounds with the only duly accredited equestrian facility in the state of California. The organization has so much to offer, and I'm excited for you to hear about their programs and the special horses that are happy to call Ivey Ranch home. And now, Tonya Danielly. Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Advancing Oceanside Podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Gilbert, and I'm super excited to have with us today the Executive Director for Ivey Ranch Park Association, Tonya Danielly. How are you doing today? I'm excited to have you on.
Thank you, Miss Hannah. Yeah, I'm doing great. It's a wonderful Friday. It's beautiful. It's finally calming down, cooling down, and it looks like fall is just around the corner. So that's always a great time.
Yes, absolutely. I love your background. It looks very, very nice to be outside. It's kind of where I want to be. I should have taken your step and gone outside.
Yes.
But before we jump too much into what Ivey Ranch Park Association does, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started with them?
Yeah. I'm native. I was born on Camp Pendleton. I grew up in Carlsbad, and then I moved back to Oceanside in 91. I went to Maricosta for my AA and then on to Cal State San Marcos, and I have a dual degree in psychology and biochemistry. And I was actually in the hospital world back in 1998. And my sister, who was involved with Ivey Ranch Park, actually a board member at that time, they were having some difficulties with administration. One executive director had left. They needed an interim, and the interim didn't work out. And she asked if I could come help for a little bit while I was transitioning to a position that was going to be in Texas. And being a native girl, Texas wasn't really exciting. So I said, yeah, I could come help out. And that's how I came to Ivey Ranch, and that was back in 98. Ivey Ranch is a care and rec center for children with special needs. And I will tell you, Hannah, the first week I was out here, there was a little boy in a helmet that would cause self-harm. Mm-hmm. And I thought, man, there are special people that can do this, and I am not one of them. This is not where I envisioned myself. Mm-hmm. And now, 23 years later, here I am.
And enjoying yourself.
You know what? It's really great. As you can see in the background, it's a 12-acre ranch. It's a beautiful facility. It's owned by the city of Oceanside. We've been here since 81. Mm-hmm. And actually, this is our 40-year anniversary. So it's nice to have a piece of beautiful right in the middle of everything. We're off the 76 Expressway right across from the Mission. And we hear from people all the time, oh my gosh, I have driven by there 100 times and I never knew you were there. And as you can see behind me, it is beautiful. I mean, it's a gorgeous property. We have over 350 trees out here. We've got 25 horses. And the program, which was originally started by a group of parents with special needs children, has grown to not only on-site care, but now it's also in-home care and our most identifiable program, which is the Equestrian Program, the horses. So we work with therapy and able-bodied. Everything we do is integrated. So it's all a matter of special needs and typically developing children and adults. Mm-hmm. And then obviously we have progressed and expanded programming. So we also have our active duty military, our veterans, and then our at-risk populations, which started with our kids in high school that were borderline either having drug, gang activity, or at risk of dropping out. And we have then not only continued to serve those populations, but we have expanded into assisting populations of domestic violence, sexual abuse, and human trafficking.
Wow.
So the cornerstone is our horses, and volunteering obviously is a huge thing out here. So a lot of people know us for our horses. A lot of people come out and get involved with the horses. But in a nutshell, that's me from back in the 70s to 23 years out here. Happy to be here. Never thought it would be like it is now. It started actually as a part-time job because our budget couldn't afford a full-time executive director. And we now have evolved into the 3 programs that I've told you about, 47 staff members, and our budget is very small for what we do. It's right at $1 million.
Wow. Wow, you guys do so much. You've obviously dove into kind of what you guys do. I'd like to hear a little bit more about the equestrian program. Is it an 8-week program? Is it, kind of how does it work and how does it help individuals?
Thank you. The equestrian program is actually really diverse now. So when it started back in 2003, so what you see if you come out here or kind of behind me, we started with 1 horse and 2 riders from our care program up at the ranch house. And it was our therapy program. So it was a matter of a 6-week program where an individual would get involved, come down, same day of the week for a half an hour and have an interactive lesson, which was and is a combination of physical and occupational therapy, and basically wherever the client is, taking them to the next step. So if we've got somebody who has social integration issues or sensory processing issues, we work on a timeline and a step system that will help them progress. So it's a 6-week program for a therapy rider still. So 20 years later, we still set up a 6-week program where the individual comes and rides once a week. It's 25 minutes on the horse, and their instructors are PATH certified, which stands for Professional Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship. So these are individuals not only with a horse background, but then trained specifically to work with special needs. The individuals who we see in that program have special needs that include mental, physical, developmental, social, and behavioral. So that actually looks like anything. That can be autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, limb loss, post-traumatic stress, traumatic brain injury, stroke, dementia, Alzheimer's. So when you think about programming, what's really exciting is, back in 2003, when we started the program with 2 riders, we now see over 240 clients a week. And those are not only all of those different special needs, but our able-bodied population too, because we're all about integration. There should be no difference in definition except for support of an individual. So our able-bodied population starts at 5. Our therapy population starts at 4. And my oldest rider right now in our therapy program is in her 80s. So we see the full range of age and abilities. And it's really neat in that, our volunteer program starts with individuals who are 9 years old. And it's great seeing, a 9-year-old working with a 65-year-old and the 9-year-old teaching the 65-year-old. It's awesome because so many of our community members have never had the chance to be around horses. So we start from the ground up. It doesn't matter if you have experience with horses or not. It doesn't matter if you have experience with special needs or not. You get to come here and train to be, whatever you would like to be involved with.
Right.
So the therapy program is 6 weeks at a time. The able-bodied program is month to month.
Okay.
Our equine assisted learning, working with those at-risk populations, typically is between 6 and 12 weeks. And then our active duty and veterans program is also month to month. So we've got a lot of moving parts. There are 9 instructors that facilitate all of those different participants. And we're out here with the equestrian program from every Tuesday through Sunday. So Monday is our only day off. But
Wow.
activity wise, yeah, out here at the site, it's always busy because we have on site care programming, and that kind
Hmm.
of looks like Boys and Girls Club, but for children with
Okay.
special needs.
Hmm.
And that serves North County. So not only Oceanside, but Carlsbad, Vista, San Marcos, Fallbrook, Bonsall, Camp Pendleton.
Okay.
So we have buses roll in from Oceanside School District and then private transportation from surrounding areas. And that's Monday through Friday. And then we have our in home programming, which is
Hmm.
7 days a week. So it's always busy.
Right. Sounds like it.
It is.
With
But
good work, though.
thank you. Thank you. You know what? The reason we've been able to be so successful is not only was it started by a group of parents, but it is right now and always will be the
Hmm.
mission of it is supported by community. It's community involvement. So whether it is our horses, whether it's cleaning the grounds, beautification, painting
Right.
the 1889 ranch house, I mean,
Hmm.
it is all supported by our local community, and then also the corporations, businesses, foundations that are not only familiar with us and local, but over 40 years, we've been able
Right.
to stretch out and get some additional support outside of just local.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that flows really nicely into, obviously, you guys are celebrating your 40th anniversary. It's been
Yeah,
amazing to have you as part of the community for so long.
thank you.
Can you tell us what it's like to see your park's growth in the 40 years? You've touched on so much and so many programs that you've built, but from your perspective, what's it been like to just see that growth?
So let me give you some perspective. The first week that I was out here, um, I went to go into the ranch
Mhm.
house, and like I said, it was built in 1889,
Mhm.
and it was already a tough week because I at one point I had somebody come up and say, "Hey, the chickens got out," and I looked and I was like, "We have chickens." So there were, so much to learn about this property in and of
Mhm.
itself. But I
Mhm.
had the handle of the front door come off in my hand. And I mean, it was just old and decrepit.
Right.
And,
Right.
you know, plumbing came after this house was built. So if
Right.
anybody has ever lived in a house that is 70, 80, or 100 years old, they understand
Mhm.
what I'm saying. But let me tell you, it was kind of daunting when I came out here because so
Yeah.
much of the facility was run by volunteers.
Yeah.
Um, it was a matter of you could only do what you could do. There wasn't a whole lot of money or energy to do all of
Mhm.
the rest of it. So it was comprised of dirt lots, about 4 feet of weeds on about 6 of our 12 acres, uh,
Mhm.
parked old equipment, storage of stuff that people thought could go to good use,
Mhm.
and the rats had invaded it. I mean, that's where it started. So
Mhm.
now, when you come out and you see this amazing equestrian facility, we're an accredited center.
Yeah.
We're the only duly accredited equestrian center in the state of California.
Mhm.
And you see all this and you think, wow, this is great. And if you would have seen it, 20 years ago with the dirt lot and the weeds, you would have thought, oh my God, what else can we
Mhm.
do here? Maybe, build condos.
Right.
So if you see the pictures on our website, we have some historical pictures that actually show the mission and the ranch house being the only things out here. And that was circa 1800s, late
Mhm.
1800s. And it's really great. And then as you see some progression, and we've got some time slides on our website,
Mhm.
it is amazing, Hannah. It is truly the transformation, that time lapse. Even if you do a picture every 5 years, so you're only
Mhm.
getting 4 pictures, it is tremendous. And the community groups, the social service clubs, everybody who's painted, everybody who's built, they
Mhm.
can be proud of something that has evolved over 40 years and now is
Right.
this literally touching thousands of lives every year.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, and just helping so many people and so many individuals. I love that. I would have never thought. I mean, the grounds are beautiful. I hear the birds in the background, so it all is a beautiful experience. And
Yeah.
I would have never thought, horses could be so therapeutic. But to hear you talk about how much it's helped so many different people and even children,
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful.
You know what?
Um,
They are empathic.
mhm.
And it's amazing if people don't have experience with them, just to be able to have
Mhm.
a non-judgmental friend an individual that you can be with regardless of your abilities, that instantly can get you and be with you and support.
Wow.
That's why I said earlier, they're the cornerstone. They truly are. They are amazing creatures. And, we have 25 of them. 20 of them have been donated to us. So we receive phone calls and emails all the time, people interested in donating their horse, and they're different situations. People who can no longer afford them. Obviously, the horses are very expensive. Then there's the families who have a lot of money and who are buying the next high level horse, and they've grown out of this one. We have a couple horses off the racetrack, and then we have horses that we've adopted from other centers as well. That we're in a good fit. So we are all about reuse, renew, and giving these creatures a chance. This is a forever home. So once they come to work for us and with us, they get to retire here and live out their days. So we're big into teaching that an animal is a lifetime commitment, and just because you can't ride him anymore doesn't mean that he gets shipped off.
Right. I'm just curious, do you guys have a way of matching the horses with the individuals that come through, or
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so the profile, so it's just like a job interview. When somebody wants to donate their horse, they have to send a profile of the animal, their history, what they've done as a career previous to us, along with video and photos. And then based on their background, okay, so if you have a narrow horse, these are, and maybe a slow moving horse, this is a horse that might be used for an individual who can't necessarily open their legs all the way apart to sit on a horse. So if any of you have ever gone horseback riding, that you actually have to straddle, and some people don't have that muscle ability. So we've got narrow horses. We have horses that are real bouncy and provide a lot of sensory input for some of our individuals with autism. And then we've got our real big draft horses that support a lot of weight. And for people who don't have core strength or trunk control, those are amazing animals. So yes, they are. It is very appropriate and single-minded when we pair the team together. The animal needs to support the rider, and the rider needs to be a good fit and not too much for that horse.
Right. Okay. That's amazing. In your opinion, what do you think, your biggest accomplishment has been with the organization?
I would say the Equestrian Center. So when I came here, we did not have horses. Ivey Ranch obviously has had horses in its history. And even when Ivey Ranch Park started, the idea was to have horses out here. The program that you see now that we started in 2003, that was my passion. I've always had horses in my life. My mother was a huge enthusiast, and I wasn't horse crazy as a little girl, but I was the little girl that was taken to the barn all the time and kind of left behind while she rode, at least for the first 6 months. So I was really good at cleaning and organizing. And then for my 9th birthday, I think they felt sorry for me. They finally gave me horseback riding lessons. So I fell in love with it. And when I came out here, it was 12 acres of beautiful. And it was like, why don't we have an amazing supportive program? Mind you, I knew nothing about therapy riding. So I had to recruit an individual, Peggy Ryan from Helen Woodward, who had just retired. And I spent 2 years. So literally from 2001 to 2003, trying to convince her to come out here and see what I had in mind. And I tell you, Hannah, when she came out here and she's like, so where are you going to have this therapy center? I said, right behind you in that big field. And she turned around and looked over her shoulder, and the only thing she saw was 6 foot of weeds and about 5 acres of it. And I said, no, it's going to be great. The firemen here in the city of Oceanside are great. They come out and they pull weeds and they build stuff for us. It's going to be terrific. So that is my biggest accomplishment in adding the Equestrian Center, the Therapy Center, our accredited facility. We're a teaching facility now. And that's what I say I have lent to this amazing facility and programming.
Absolutely. And I love to hear that you were able to see the vision, see the
Yeah.
beauty in what was there and then create this awesome experience for children. With your 40th anniversary, how are you guys celebrating it? I know you guys have kind of a lot of fun things planned for that.
We do. And it culminates with our 40th anniversary Western Hoedown, which is
Okay.
October 16th. It's a Saturday from 3 to 7 in the afternoon. It's a fundraising event for us, but more importantly, it's a public relations thank you event to the
Mhm.
community. We're hoping that they come out for it. It is supported by Outback Steakhouse. They are
Mhm.
catering the dinner. The USMC Mounted Color Guard is presenting the colors for the kickoff and opening. And then there's fun things like the kids corral. We have an entire pasture that's dedicated with games and activities for the kids. We have the silent auction and raffles for the adults. We also have, cornhole and ladder ball toss for the adults
Mhm.
who want to
Mhm.
play something while they're out here. So we
Mhm.
have the riding demonstrations and vaulting demonstrations. So another aspect of programming for us is vaulting, which is gymnastics on horseback. So one of our draft horses is going to be doing an exhibition with his team, showing
Mhm.
people what that looks like. So it's going to be, a 4 hour afternoon barbecue dinner, fundraiser, all kinds of activities, face painting, popcorn, you name it.
Mhm.
And it's going to be a lot of fun. So on our website, there's information right now about not only coming and having a ticket, but if individuals would like to sponsor a jail or sponsor the bar or
Yeah.
sponsor face painting, there's opportunities to get their business or their name out there in addition to coming and supporting the organization.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Sounds like a great way to spend, it's a Saturday, right? October 16th.
Yes, it
Perfect.
is.
Yes.
Yeah, cooler
Awesome.
weather,
Yes.
outdoors, horses. It should be great.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Now that you've kind of covered everything that you guys do, you mentioned that, you're always looking for volunteers. How can people connect with you and learn more about different ways to get involved?
We are always looking for volunteers, and depending on what their expertise or desire are,
Mhm.
we have volunteer opportunities on the grounds, with our care programs and children, or like I said, with our horses. And on our website we've got that divisional breakdown. So we have a full-time volunteer coordinator, and her job is to basically intake people, hear what they
Mhm.
want to do, and get involved. We have a volunteer orientation for those wanting to get involved with our equestrian program every 8 weeks.
Okay.
The next one is October 23rd. And so individuals sign up online, submit an application. They show up for an hour and a half orientation. And then we have a myriad of opportunities throughout the week, every day, mornings, afternoons, weekends. So, if you have 1 day a week, if you have 5 days a week, if you're 9 years old, if you're 80 years old, anywhere in between, there's something that you could do out here.
Absolutely. And what was your website?
www.iveyranch.com. And Ivy is a proper name, so it's I, V as in Victor, EYRANCH.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you for covering everything that you guys do. It's great to see obviously your passion and your vision come to life, and
Thank you.
it's clear that you love what you do and you're excited to do it. And I think everything that you guys are doing with the community is absolutely amazing.
Thank
I just
you.
have one final question for you, and that is, what does it mean to you to advance Oceanside?
For me, both personally and professionally, Advancing Oceanside is bringing community together. So the mission of Ivy Ranch always started with integration for children and adults with special needs, as well as typically developing. So Advancing Oceanside is really continuing education for individuals so that they know that, there might be an ability difference, but there
Mhm.
really isn't a personal or people or life difference. We're all humans and having those experiences. So advancing Oceanside together would be integration and to continue to support each other and grow together.
Absolutely. I love that. And it's evident that you've been that being a pillar in our community for the past 40 years. So, Tonya, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I love learning about what you guys do and learning a little bit about horses, an area that I'm
Thank
not
you.
100% familiar with. So, thank you so much for joining us. And I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Thanks, Hannah. Absolutely. And to the entire community, thank you for all the support for the last 40 years.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Advancing Oceanside Podcast, brought to you by the Oceanside Chamber of Commerce. Continue with us on our journey to help inform, better educate, and ultimately advocate for Oceanside. You can view all of our other podcasts on any podcast listening locations, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or visit our YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe to catch all the latest updates on all things Oceanside. Join us next week as we host another influential leader from our community.